Okay, overwhelming thoughts and emotions. Let's talk about that because it is so very common these days. We all feel overwhelmed sometimes, and whether it is negative thoughts just repeating in our heads over and over again, negative emotions, whether it is depression, anger, sadness, or obsessive thinking, or when we are just lost in a fantasy and we cannot just get out of the fantasy and focusing on what we're supposed to do in the moment. So it is a very common thing, and what are we gonna do about that? I want to share a bit about my personal experience about this. So a few years ago, when I was in college and I was in therapy for a while. By therapy, it is just a classic talk therapy when you're, sitting on a couch with a therapist and talking about your childhood and your traumas, and you cry. And at the time, my therapist keep telling me that I need to feel my emotions. And she was saying that because I am too much in the head, that I have a lot of thoughts. I am generally an intellectual. I studied philosophy. I am basically a thinker, and I like to read. And so I think and analyze a lot. And well, from her point of view, she kept telling me that I don't feel enough about my emotions, and I should, whenever I have an emotion that I can notice rising up, I should do my best to feel into the emotion and feel the sensation in my body, and get into the emotion instead of analyzing it and thinking about it. And to be honest, that never worked for me until this day. That suggestion from her and kind of analyzation from her, it never really resonated with me. And I'm not saying I because I from all the other books and resources I've read and studied myself. I study a lot about psychoanalysis and psychology. For a few years I was really into this and in healing myself. And I know it is quite a common thing that people say, you're too much in the head, you need to drop down into your body and feel your heart and be in the heart and things like this. I mean, I think it's a very common thing to say, and I bet it worked for many people, but it didn't work for me. And I think that since it didn't work for me, it probably not gonna work for everybody. There are definitely people gonna be who are like me, who find this to be not helpful, because I think especially when you tend to have very very strong, intense emotion when you're triggered, it is not a good idea to really. My opinion, of course, I'm not a health professional and so on, so I'm not trying to, say it from a professional point of view, professional in the way that you're licensed and all that. Just my own experience, just to share. I never find it helpful when you have a really strong emotion coming up, or when you are getting into obsessive thinking or obsessive emotions, because thinking, it triggers emotion. It's linked, it's not separate, right? So if you're obsessively thinking about something and you're getting really triggered and angry and it just go on and on and on, I don't think it ever worked for me, or it is a good idea to actually feel your emotion so much at that moment, because for me personally, it makes it worse. It just it makes me entangled in the negativity more and more and more. So since that never worked, but I did find my way, and there's something that worked for me, and it is going from a spiritual point of view. And I'm very grateful, as I go on a spiritual path, I keep having teachers and books and talks that sort of showing up in my reality that is really helping me. So this is being said both by Sadhguru and by Sri Gurudev Shankar, I think that's his name. Both of them have mentioned this about thoughts and emotions. From a spiritual point of view, they say just it's not important. Your thoughts and your emotions are not important from a spiritual point of view. They're not you, right? And Sadhguru's famous meditation, Isha Kriya, is online. Is when he was saying in the meditation, you are not the body, I'm not the body, I'm not the mind, I'm not the body, I'm not the mind, which is, the truth. You're not the body and you're not the mind. You are not your emotion, you're not your thoughts. So why give it even that much importance in the first place? You feel an emotion coming up, you feel a thought coming up, let it. It's just like, okay, here you go again. Okay, here's the emotion. Okay, here's the thought. It's not that important. You don't need to go into it. You don't need to go feel into it. You don't need to, do anything about it. You don't need to analyze it. You just don't need to get into it. Just observe it. Just sort of like, okay, it's here. Fine. You're not that important. So I will just let you rise up and pass. And that's all. And I find that so helpful. Maybe it's much more helpful than the suggestion of just feel into your feelings, because that's not that's definitely not my thing. So yeah, I just want to say this and put it out there. And if you're somebody who is kind of like me and who find the whole feel your feelings thing not working for you, I do think personally, the spiritual point of view, it is also a much more elevated way of seeing life. It's just thoughts and emotions, they're not, they're just garbages. Right? I mean, not to dismiss them, not to dismiss your emotions especially, but by the end of the day, they are just karmic imprints generating itself, right? It's just running on and on and on and on, like an automatic kind of program that's there. It's not you. It's not, who you genuinely are. It's far, far away from your true self. So just see that. And Sadhguru also said this before, that when you have thoughts and your feelings, so your mind and body, right, they're generating things. You don't follow the thoughts, you don't follow the emotion, and you don't resist it. You don't try to push it away, and you don't create new thoughts and emotions. So 3 things, right? First thing is you don't follow it. You don't follow a particular thought and emotion. And you don't resist a particular thought and emotion. And what's the third thing? You don't follow it, you don't resist it, you don't create new thoughts and emotions. That's the third thing. Yeah, and that's been really helpful to me. So just want to share that with you.